miracle happened early for Glasgow. Long before other nations were wakened to the din of production, Glasgow was building steamships and railway engines for every corner of the earth. Its all-conquering triple expansion engine ruled the waves. The city's reputation rested solidly on engineering, for that is what it exported. Younger and more aggressive economies rose to dispute and finally overcome its global supremacy. Fortunately, heavy engineering was just one aspect of working Glasgow. And when the empire-building, muscle-flexing days were over, there remained a different but still prosperous city. Downtown, the city is laid out American style on a gridiron, a forceful pattern that ignores the hills that shape the inner city. Here is housed one of the greatest legal, banking and insurance centers in the United Kingdom. It's still a city that works, and fortunate to have a healthy mixture of commerce and industry to provide a strong base. And it's learned the important lesson of not looking back at past glories, to open itself up to new opportunities. The city's Lord Provost, Dr. Michael Kelly.
The main thing we can say to firms is that all the Council's policies are devoted towards trying to build our economy up again. And that means that they are going to get a welcome from the city and first-class service from all our departments. We've set up our Economic Development Bureau, for example, to coordinate all these activities. And every new policy that comes to the Council is actively considered as to how it's going to affect firms that are already here and firms that we are attempting to attract. So that I and the Council make a particular effort to meet businessmen that are thinking of investing in Glasgow, so that we can make them officially welcome, but also we can introduce them to people in different sections of society so they can judge for themselves that Glasgow is in fact the friendly city.
Some of our complex ingredients in our machines, some of the components, we need access to shipping for heavy machines, and we find those in good quantity here.
Communication is obviously important. I mean, we've studied this, and I know this is one of the most important things. We've got the chairman of British Caledonian Airways here. How important is it to you that you can have access to other countries?
Well, we'd like to feel we were one of his best customers. I've got people flying all over Europe and Africa, the Middle East, constantly. We think the transportation here is excellent.
Most of the flights we operate down to London are geared to connect with the long-haul flights over to places like Houston. And we actually have a cargo flight that comes from Houston into Prestwick as well. But most of the flights go through London and are geared to the other points that we reckon business wants to go to.
No matter how warm the welcome, the attraction for new industry is not the propaganda, but the success of firms already here.
Having looked round all of the other manufacturing areas, I was able to convince Keystone that this was probably the best city in the UK from the standpoint of labour availability, grants, and all of the usual infrastructure, which is a total requirement for being successful.
Malcolm Clark is a returning Scot, an engineer who brought his American firm back home with him.
Have you decided what the problem is?
From the standpoint of the availability of skilled labour, obviously with the background that you have in the shipyards and associated manufacturing companies, you have access to foundries, machine shops, plate shops, fabrication, as well as good source for high technology recruitment. You have tremendous road infrastructure, good communications generally.
The reason for good communications rests firmly on Glasgow's new and growing role as the administrative capital for the whole of the Strathclyde region. For But the city exerts a direct pull on the 3 million people who live and work both within it and around it. Glasgow is more than a workshop. It's also a market in its own right, generating and creating work by the very fact of its existence. Long before the disc jockeys of Radio Clyde stitched the region together on the airwaves, an integrated pattern of motorways and subways, roadways and blue trains and buses was well underway. Strathclyde, like Radio Clyde, was on the move.
You're tuned to the Breakfast Show with Dave Marshall at 261 till 9 o'clock. Travel news time down from Glasgow Airport with our flight watch check of the morning. This is Dick Barry reporting.
Good morning, Dave, and it is a good morning for prospective airline passengers with British Airways and British Caledonian on time. An early shuttle flight from Heathrow due at Glasgow at 9 o'clock, and Prestwick's transatlantic flights also looking very good indeed. Dick Barry, 261 Flight Watch.
Thanks, Dickie. Travel news now from Erskine. Here's Margaret McCulloch.
All routes towards Glasgow are very busy now, but even if it's not an especially good day as far as the weather's concerned, it's certainly a good day on the road so far. Our patrols report traffic moving well on the roads leading into town, including the urban motorway, and thankfully no hitches to cope with. Back with an update in half an hour.
Thanks, Margaret. It's 8:15.
Just 20 years ago, the average speed of traffic in central Glasgow was less than 10 miles an hour at rush hour. The urban motorway has changed all that.
It's a great difference now going through Glasgow. It used to be when you go into Glasgow you had to negotiate all the traffic and traffic lights, and it was quite a time getting through Glasgow. Now with a new motorway going through there, you can come in off the 74 straight through Glasgow. You can get to any part of Glasgow actually from the exits off the motorway and straight through to Greenock where the container base is. So virtually from like Southampton or Tilbury, you can, it's mostly motorway all the way now.
The contraction of shipping on the Clyde may have been steady, but Clyde Port still handles almost 20 million tons of cargo each year. It does so with far fewer men and a great deal more efficiency. Since the shift to containerization and the linked efficient motorway system, the movement of goods to and from the Americas has been revolutionized. Containerization of cargo isn't restricted to shipping. "20 miles south of Glasgow, the major international airport at Prestwick is the centre for all long-haul cargo and passenger movements. Between them, Prestwick Airport and the city's own Glasgow Airport, just 12 minutes from the town centre, handle 3 million passengers each year. In the last 20 years, the heavy engineering base has continued to yield to the expansion of electronic and allied industries. Outside of California, Scotland's central belt has the world's greatest concentration of such firms. In the north of Glasgow, the no-fuse circuit breaker company has expanded into a new factory.
This company was formed as a joint venture with the Terasaki Electric Company of Japan to produce in the United Kingdom the very high quality range of circuit breakers which Terasaki manufacture in Japan. This is our third factory in the Glasgow area, and this one we have 2 acres of ground for expansion, so we expect that this would be our final factory. And as far as the staffing of the factory is concerned, we're very fortunate in Glasgow because we have a large pool of craftsmen and engineering type labour which are easily trained into our type of product because they've already been on products which require an intelligent approach. And the reason we've stayed in Glasgow is that the facilities for business in Glasgow are very good. There's very good overseas connections on the commercial side and the banking side. There's very high standard of exporting and importing companies to handle anywhere in the world as far as we're concerned.
Assemble?
They assemble here, yes. We assemble and we make into automatic changeover here sometimes.
The first business of Glasgow is still business. And to cover the risks involved and to deploy the necessary resources, the banks, insurance companies, pension funds and lawyers have created a massive financial empire. Just back from Japan is the Clydesdale Bank General Manager, William Beaton.
What I have been particularly concerned to project overseas is that we have here in Glasgow a financial community which is human, sympathetic, understanding and helpful in its attitude. And this includes not only the joint stock banks but the merchant banks and other related financial institutions here in the west of Scotland, who offer not only a wide range of financial services but also a number of additional services in assisting them to set up. What we are seeking to do is to work cooperatively one with another, to talk to those who will be setting up their manufacturing operations here, to design a financial package appropriate to their particular operations to ensure that they will have a long and continuous record of performance here in the west of Scotland, which will ensure a viable operation for many years to come.
This is the City Council's Economic Development Bureau, set up to cut red tape and bring together every department in the Council that has help and advice to offer industry. The work of the Bureau goes beyond finding factories of the right size for incoming and expanding industry. All the administrative skills the city has to offer are on hand to help develop the industrial base, direct industrialists towards finance, ensure that specialist factory needs are met, and coordinate the grants and help to industry that Glasgow has to offer.
Surely that's not arguments against going on with some more.
And for that reason, I don't really suggest that we should concentrate on any specific area in the city. What we should try and do is get...
The city's Industrial Development Officer, Stuart Logan, carries the work of the committee into the field where the hard talking gets done.
And coordinate all the departments associated with industry.
The premises are good for me in as much as they are located in the central area of Glasgow. They're near the motorways, in which case it's an excellent distribution point. The size of the premises, 800 square feet, is ideal at the moment. The rent's very reasonable, and the running costs and the facilities for parking, servicing,
expansion
are ideal.
Once you settle in here and think you're perhaps another year or so, what's happening then?
Well, we'd hope that once we introduce the main work, the signboards, estate boards and so forth, we would hope to have bigger premises, but again...
Yes, this is 800 square feet just now.
Yes.
In another year or 2 years, what happens? Will you be doubling that size?
We would hope to have it doubled in that. If things progress the way they have done in the past 4 years, despite the recession, we feel that we'll go from strength to strength, and we hope that when the time comes, the premises will be available for us.
For the smaller companies, Glasgow District provides new nest factories and identifies sites for potential development, building factories itself and in conjunction with private enterprise. The applause is not exclusively for the good works. It takes a brighter, more successful aura to pull the cheers. But in a city that once reserved its warmest praise and approval for boxers and football players, it's good to see that enterprise can also be a star and get star treatment.
Oh, well done. The retreat is full of people. Not many
Long before education became the basis for successful industry, local firebrand John Knox had drawn up a separate educational course for Scotland. A school in every village, a university in every city. countless Scots children saw it as the surest road to success. For 500 years, education has had a disproportionately high value in Scottish life. Almost 20,000 students attend the city's 2 major universities, and thousands upon thousands more are enrolled in the various city colleges. A strong scientific and technological bias is everywhere evident and attracts the scalp hunters from the major firms like ICI, Shell and Unilever.
Business administration. Yes, I wanted to do a general degree in business without getting too tied down to any specific subject, and Strathclyde offered a variety of courses that I could do just that.
I work for a major UK multinational operating worldwide, and we visit Glasgow every year because of the experience that we have had that shows that Glasgow, with its 2 universities, backed up by further technical and business colleges, provides a regular stream of high-quality graduates in disciplines ranging from chemists, physicists, to engineers, to linguists and art students, and indeed students from the business schools.
And ask them about their jobs and what they're doing. It helps to give us an idea of what we think we might want to do once we leave university, and it makes the course very much more practical.
The city is friendly and streetwise, insistently urban, hip, not square. The most American of British cities, filled with the sons and daughters of potential emigrants who made their new world right here and liked it. When 500 years ago Pope Gregory decided to endow a university in the Clyde Valley, he chose Glasgow because it was a place of sweet vapours and orchards, somnolent, lost in Celtic myths and mists. The dreaming was here before the spires. Amazingly, all that befell this broad strath of the Clyde barely made its mark on the beauty of the place. The Industrial Revolution with its grime and din was not the future, just a step on the way to it. The totally urban development of the city avoided sprawling suburbs. The surrounding countryside was barely marked. This is the water that Glasgow drinks up in Loch Katrine, a natural resource to feed the city like all the other wonderful natural resources that have nurtured it since ever people came to this most northerly of great cities. A region warmed by the Atlantic drift and made mellow by it. For in Europe, you go east and not north to find the cold. In the valley beneath the playground, nothing has changed and everything has changed.